Hello and welcome to the Road to State House. I am Malik Jones, and today in the program I have the Secretary General and party leader of the All People's Party, Dr. Ibrahim Jagne. Dr. Jagne, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Malik.
You took over the mantle of the leadership of this party from Dr. Gumbo Ture, who left, under what he termed as compelling circumstances and family reasons. And you took over from that. What were those compelling reasons?
Well, those reasons are really personal, but he did explain that he wanted to be in the leadership and to continue to do whatever possible to make sure All People's Party is a success. And that's what he did. When we had our Congress, he was then the interim party leader. And we had our Congress, and then I was taken by surprise. The day before the Congress, he told me, my friend, I am not going to run for the Secretary General. I want to withdraw. And he said, oh, I have personal reasons. I said, okay. You don't want to talk about it? He said, yeah, there are personal family reasons. And that's what happened. We all have sometimes reasons that are personal, but I accepted them, respected his opinion. The other thing he felt that he wanted to give the younger ones in the party to be, of course, we are of the same age, but he was thinking that if he became the party leader, I may eventually be deputy, because I was the deputy interim party leader. But then I was successful to be the party leader.
By the time you took over, I'm sure you must have done some great work. What can you reminisce as he has done before you took over?
Right. Gumbo is someone who is very faithful, very committed, very, very nationalistic. He's a Gambian in the true sense, an African, a Pan-Africanist, honest, and he worked very hard. And people don't know, but he didn't create All People's Party. All People's Party was created by a group of Gambians who were talking about the situation even during Jagne's time, 2014 and early 2016. Some of them were in the diaspora, some of them, most of them were Gambians of all tribal and religious background. And then they invited Gumbo. Gumbo was invited, and Gumbo was excited and said, oh yeah, I would like to be part of this. And that's how Gumbo became a member of the party. Eventually, they realized amongst themselves, Gumbo was the most experienced, as most educated, and not only that, most elderly. All they're young, younger than him and younger than me. So Gumbo eventually became the interim party. Became the interim party leader in the interim executive up to the time of the executive. He had worked diligently, tirelessly, and I know from the documents that he has contributed a lot in the formation of the party.
You said that the Gambia needs a technocrat at the apex of government.
Yes.
Why?
I'm sure you're familiar with the Greek philosophical saying, if the wise men don't get involved in politics or in the government of a country, the fools will run the country. I think this country has been run by fools for a long time. So we believe we are the wise people. We believe we are technocrats. We believe we are not politicians per se. We are individuals who are committed to the development of this country. In Wolof, we say, "As can be monyor," and that we really mean it. We really mean it. So a group of technocrats who are committed. I could have stayed in the US or in the UK and worked. Gumbo could have done the same thing. We have worked all our lives in this country and abroad. We are not rich, but we are content. We are content with what we have, and we are entering government not to form a government, not because we want to enrich ourselves, which I think is the typical norm of the African politicians, especially Gambians. So that's where we're coming from. Technocrats, because we believe we have the know-how, we have the analytical ability to process what the Gambia needs and apply what the Gambia needs to develop.
Let me run a background check on you. I mean, in the early 70s, you worked in the agricultural sector
Yes.
with the Chinese.
Yes.
And then later on, you went to Taiwan.
Yes.
Became a rice expert.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your educational pursuits.
Right. I attended Armitage High School. At my final year, I was the school CFO, student leader. At my graduation, I was given I was presented Great Expectation, the book. You know Great Expectation. And because I was a well-behaved, well-achieved student. I left and I joined the Chinese mission, agricultural mission. I was at YBK. Within a few months, because of my hard work, my diligence, my effort, my focus, I was given the chance to go to Taiwan. And in Taiwan, I was trained like many other Africans from Senegal itself, and Zaire then, and other Botswana, and other African countries were there, representatives were there. And it was a seminar, actually, a training course for about 9 months. I finished, I came back, returned to the Chinese. I actually became their expert in their repair of their power tillers. So, and those are diesel engines. So I became very good. I was very, very good. They trusted me, and I used to be in the fields all day. Then I decided that I want to further my education. I even tried to do that in Taiwan when I was there. But the Taiwanese government, we are looking for someone who was politically inclined, and I wasn't. I remember they sent a delegate to me after I wrote to them, asking them to further my training when I was in Taiwan. The Taiwanese agent from the Taiwanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the question he asked basically was, how can you enter politics? I said, I'm not interested in politics. I want to study agricultural science or medicine. Then that was it, he left. So when I returned, I decided that I need to go abroad to study, because at that time we had no university in the Gambia. I taught at Nusrat High School for a year. And during that period, I was able to walk around the embassies here, and locally, Spanish government had some, it wasn't a full scholarship, but some form of aid that would give a student to be able to study in Spain. And that's how I ended up going to Spain to study. This is 1973.
Then you went to the United States? And
yes. I don't know if we have time, but I could elaborate on my... Yes. I was in Spain for 6 years. In Spain, of course, I wasn't speaking. I didn't know how to speak Spanish when I got there. I taught myself how to speak Spanish. I challenged the Spanish University entrance examination in Spanish. By my third year in Spain, I was proficient enough to sit to the Spanish University entrance exam, medical school entrance exam, and I passed. But I had serious economic, financial difficulties. My parents weren't paying, so I was working, teaching English, and also getting some stipend from the Spanish government. I decided that I needed to go to the United States. But before that, something happened to me in Spain. For the first time, I realized who I was. For the first time, I thought about Africa and who we are. One of the things that despite the fact that I was very busy studying Spanish, I was able to lay my hands on books that really opened my eye. For example, Sheikh Anta Diop's book, Origin of African Civilization. I also read Fanon, Richard of the Earth. He was a doctor, a psychologist in the Algerian War. That also opened my eye. And I read a lot of books about Kwame Nkrumah's writings. He was still alive in Guinea, and he was writing a lot. Neo-colonialism, about Africa, you know. And even I read Patrick Lumumba's life, book on Patrick Lumumba. And I think the most influential book I had read at that time was by Susan George. Susan George wrote a book entitled How the Other Half Dies. Susan George has worked for the United Nations. Actually, I think IMF. He was a technocrat. And he wrote this book telling the world how the third world is dying because they are having an unfair play on the world market. Very interesting. That really opened my eye. At that time, I said, nah, politics, nah. But I was really conscious. I said, no, let me carry on my medical studies. And that's what happened. I managed to go to United States, to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, of course, coming from Spain, at that time, in Spain, there were computers, but you cannot transfer, as we can do now, your whole academic training in the form of your transcripts and all that to another country. Now you can do that, just, you know. Now at that time in Spain, actually I had to ask them to translate my Spanish record. But United States has a system different from the Spanish system. At that time, Spain has the academic year, like we used to have in the Gambia, September to July, August. And that was not, they didn't have a semester system or a quarter system. It has to be full year. So they couldn't give me any points on what I've studied. So, but before that, I decided that because of my financial constraints, I decided I would do a technical program. And that's where I did medical electronics. I also did respiratory therapy and cardiopulmonary technology. So those two get me working full time until I was able to find myself in medical school. And the typical scenario was when I applied, they told me you cannot accept this. So I had to do my high school again. So I had 3 high school certificates from Gambia, from Spain, and from the United States. Eventually, I got myself at Emory University School of Medicine. And then I continued to work every weekend. I was working my 40 hours for the week on weekends only. 12 hours on Saturdays, 12 hours on Sundays. And then during the week, I'll study and cook my food so I can eat and eat everything. The American style, yes.
All right. Now, you have 2 professions that you furthered within your career, agriculture and medicine. Since I was born, the name Jali Pachar, the slogan, rise self-sufficiency, has always been there from the First Republic up to where we are now.
Absolutely.
And we have never, ever achieved it. I am sick to the bone to hear Jali Pachar, and yet still Jali Pachar is not the dream that I think has been realized.
You know,
what's the cause?
I call it a result of what I call the imperial foreign aid syndrome, and also what I call the post-colonial traumatic stress disorder. The imperial foreign aid syndrome, what I call, is where the African leaders go abroad as beggars. First, they have no self-esteem. Second, they condition them. Even they are begging, they give them and condition them. What happened in the Jahari Pacha, from my analysis, the Jawara government had Taiwan providing everything, from fertilizers to seeds to machines and equipment and spare parts. They even trained me. So what happened when they withdrew? What do you expect? They hadn't put any alternative in place. Nothing. So when they withdrew, what happened? Everything collapsed. You see, this is something that's I think if you look in other departments, you will see the same thing. Even I remember at agriculture department, they used to have these big trucks from America, foreign aid. They give us billions, only 1 billion would arrive here. All the rest goes back because you have to buy the equipment. You have to send their technocrats who will be earning 20 times more than the Gambian. So all the money goes back. But in the world, in the face of the world, oh, these Africans, we're helping them every time, they don't do anything. But they are conditioning us that it's not favorable. They're telling us what to do, what we already know how to do, and probably do it better. But the conditions under which they give us these aids is what is wrong. So the Jahari Pacha is a failure, I think, because of the Jawara government's short-sightedness. We could have, I think the Gambia should have been exporting rice since 5 years after Jawara, after independence. So I'm looking forward that the APP government, within 3 years, will be exporting rice, God willing.
That's a lofty ideal. Yet again, you must remember the people that you will rely on again. You're going to rely on the very same Gambians that did not take it upon themselves to say, look, this is about building our nation. Let us come together. Let us learn the tricks of the trade. Let us be well equipped to be able to, do what the Chinese are doing.
Right. I have.
So how would you drive that through the Gambian people?
We have in the Gambia what I call a cultural deficit. I think we Gambians need to reorient themselves. I have made a couple of audios, and I mentioned very clearly that at the time of independence, China was just like Gambian independence, almost even worse. Chinese weren't feeding themselves, they were starving. Singapore, we all know, was on the same footing and had independence at the same time. What happened? The leaders came back, prepared, and said, look, we are going to build a society for our children's children. We're going to realize that we need to do, do the right job. We are not going to be dependent on anyone. We're going to pull our bootstraps, sacrifice, and work. The Gambian mentality is individualism, all right? Most people are greedy. They only think of their pockets. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You know what I'm talking about. Think of your pocket, not nationally.
The collective interest is not
yes,
there.
it's not there. So we have to have leaders. If I say it in Wolof, if you don't mind, we have to have leaders. You have a doin doilu, bugewuñ. They are not nepotic. They are not corrupt. They don't lack self-esteem. Self-esteem is what happened to the African hasn't happened to any other people. We lack self-esteem. And that's precisely what I call the post-colonial traumatic stress disorder, which is tantamount to what is known in medicine as post-traumatic stress disorder, which is usually signs and symptoms seen in people who have been in war, foreign wars, especially the American military. So the African has gone through 200 to 300 years of being submerged to being subhuman, let's put it that way, to being told that they need foreigners to develop them, which is not true. Africa is still feeding Europe. If everything in Africa stays in Africa, all our raw materials, Europe would be dead. And they know it. That's why African unity is, I mean, I don't have to say this, I think every African should be aware, is the most important thing that we have to achieve. And when we do it, we have African economic unity before political unity. Because that's where we can have all our natural resources processed in Africa, not the cocoa sent to Europe and in few pounds for a bag, and then sent back to us.
In forms of chocolate.
Yes, and we have to pay five times of what they bought it from us. So that the Jahari Pachar is really a repetition of what has happened through the years. The period of neocolonialism is still going on. We cannot deny it.
You are vying for the presidency, like 18 other political players will be vying for. And you're a technocrat. Let's look at another feather in your cap. The medical scientist, let me call you that. What is wrong with our medical setup in this country?
There are a lot of things wrong. We do not have a good preventative medical system. If you are in the UK or in America, 45-year-old male must have their prostate checked. Africans are typically prostate disease. Prostate cancer is known to be, I would say, an African disease. In the United States, brothers and sisters there have prostate cancer is more prevalent in them. There are some diseases that are race-related. For example, there are some lung diseases that are more white. For sickle cell is more African. Prostate disease you also find that is more African. Not necessarily Europeans don't have it. They do have it. But there's no preventative medicine set up. The only thing we have is the inoculations, which is preventive. But we have to go further than that. Our women should be having regular breast checks, mammogram, ultrasounds, right? And also other gender-related examinations to prevent cancers. The cancer is rising in this country precisely because of all the chemicals we're eating in our foods. We're importing our foods. We don't know what we're eating. That's the most serious problem we have, really. We're importing food that we don't know what we're eating. We have the worst quality of rice. You know it. You've traveled abroad. And the Gambian mentality is the broken rice tastes better and they like it. And it's the worst quality of rice. See? So the Gambian need to be oriented. The mentality has to be changed. And then we need a system, a health system, what I call, that is similar or even better than the National Health Service of the United Kingdom, where everyone working chips in. So if you go to the hospital, you don't have no money, don't worry. Someone has already paid for you, or you already paid for it. And those who are working, we take them by it, because Your neighbor sick, you have to help. You know, it's very important that we, as a society, we come together and help each other. Okay, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you are not safe, absolutely not safe. So that the health system should engulf everyone in the country. As long as you are working, you have to chip in. It's not a tax. It's an insurance, just like you take health insurance, life insurance, and it's going to be little because that's happening in the UK easily. You don't even know it. At the end, but you go to the hospital, and you don't pay anything because you already paid for it. That's what we need, so that the government can buy the equipment that we need to put in the hospital. I'm sure you've had a family relative who had gone to Dhaka. Nearly every Gambian would say, "Oh, my cousin, my uncle has to go to Dhaka because we don't have this." We have the doctors. We have the doctors who are well trained, but the equipment is not there. That is the problem. Part of the problem. The medical staff, the nurses are trained. They are not well paid. They are not well paid. The doctors are not well paid either. But if you have doctors and nurses not well paid, and then you don't have the equipment, what do you expect? This is what we have. This is what the problem is. Okay, I know we have a lot of technical assistance from other countries, but you are better as a Gambian doctor diagnosing a treated Gambian than the foreign doctor. I'm telling you that because I've experienced it. I've seen it. You know, there's what is called cultural medicine. You know how you people think and how the disease presents, much more than the foreign doctor. I had volunteers coming to the clinic when I opened Lamin Health Center. When they see malaria, they don't know what it is. And the Cubans may have experience in Cuba, but the African scenario is different. It's very different. So that if you have Gambian doctors who are well equipped, then we wouldn't have to be sending our patients to Dhaka anymore. And I think we need to take care of that as soon as possible.
You have seen the outbreak of COVID-19.
Right.
And as we speak now, there are no more vaccines around.
So I heard, yeah.
How would you rate government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think very poorly, but worldwide it was poorly handled. Let me just talk a little about Europe because I was there. Europeans knew the best way they could handle this was to close their borders, have everyone compulsory put on a mask, have sanitizers, and social distancing. But democracy doesn't allow that. You know what I'm talking about. People are raising hell, even to put on a mask, some people refusing. All right. So if you are in England, you're doing one thing. The French are doing something else. The Belgians are doing something. The Spaniards are doing something else different. That's why they had this pandemic there, and it's worse there. In the Gambia, the government started. I wasn't here. Well, I came, and then I left again. The government started, I think, with a good footing. But I don't think there was a lot of education. People, when I came during the pandemic, and we still have a pandemic, people were still not doing social distancing. You go to the mosque, people are full. Couple of weeks, people stop going to the mosque. But they were drumming and dancing without mask. And then some people didn't even believe there's a pandemic. They didn't believe it. So that the government didn't put all the effort that it should have. The other thing that I thought was wrong, when Gambians arrived from abroad, I think they were trying to put them in hotels and government was paying for it. What they're doing now at the airport is the right thing. They test you right there. Or you bring your test. If you're negative, why do they keep you and pay the bill? I think that was very, very wrong. So most of the COVID money probably went over there. But the education, and this would have sustained that, this would have relaxed, this would have sustained it, and even have mobile units go up that rather than just on radio and television. When I was a kid, we used to have mobile units going around the country, educating people on health issues. That is what we need, a massive educational campaign in this country. Not only for that, but issues related to health and better living. Yeah.
You're watching The Road to State House, and my guest is Dr. Ibrahim Jagne. He's the Secretary General and party leader of the All People's Party. Doctor, an APP-led government has a vision which you want to put into practice. What difference will your party make if you assume the presidency?
Okay. As you rightfully said, we believe we are technocrats. We believe we are not the typical politician per se. We believe we are here because we committed to develop Gambia. We believe we are not here to enrich ourselves. We believe we are the servant of the people. We believe we're going to tell the people we're going to govern you by example. We're going to set examples. We believe the Gambians ourselves, we need to orient ourselves. We believe that the Gambian has to realize that he has to be honest to himself, to society, and to the country. What I mean by that, I can give you examples. For example, if you call anyone, a mechanic, carpenter, a mason, to do some work, he'll tell you, I come 10 o'clock in the morning. Why 10 o'clock? If you are a Muslim and getting about 4 or 5 in the morning to work, why 10 o'clock? If you go to the market, we all know someone selling something with a cup, he'll beat the under of the pot to give you a false measurement. We even know that sometimes you go and buy, people who love pepper, they put powdered kola nuts into it. That's the mindset. The Gambian has to be honest to himself. We have to stop being nepotic. We have to be so corrupt. Ramadan, of all things, of all places, Gambian Ramadan, that's when the prices go up. Why? Why? Come Christmas, comes New Year, prices go down. Why? Because of greed. Because of greed. The Gambian has to realize that if this country sink, we all sink. We all sink. It doesn't matter if we are rich or poor, we all sink. So we have to do something, and that's what APP is coming to do. We believe within 3 years of government, we're going to have an education system, to revamp the education system, where there will be no more back way for the Gambians. No Gambian youth is going to go back way. We believe that there should be a national youth service scheme where the high school graduates or primary school or even the ustas who want a profession could go in those institutions that the government is going to build, have them trained, pay them to train them, stipend, give them stipend to train them. When they finish, interest-free loan given to them. Not only that, we're going to have in the curriculum, teach them how to run business. Otherwise, what's going to happen? A young man, 20 years old, he just saw this big money. What does he do? Buy a car, have 2 wives. Before you know it, he has no end of problem because he hasn't planned his life. So that if you have a young man who is skillful, has money to start a business, all right, and you give him what we call a guide, okay, business guide, or someone who actually has been in business for a long time, teteko, in word of teteko. I think that's the right word. Yeah. So that they know how to run business. Gambians wouldn't travel abroad again to go and die in the Mediterranean. That's one aspect. The other thing is, we're going to make sure Gambians eat what we grow. We're going to eat what we grow. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be in the first year, maybe but the 3rd year. We're going to make sure Gambia would export rice. Not only that, we're going to make sure kus, which is better than rice, findi, which is better than rice, and sorghum, which is better than rice. We're going to make sure our fish in the sea stays in the Gambia for Gambians. If they're going to rot on the beaches, let them put in compost heaps. Why are they left dumped on the beaches? Why do foreigners have to come to do that to us? Okay, so that our aim is to make Gambia self-sufficient in food. Seriously, Malik, why is the Saro, Denton-Bridge oil mill? You know what oil you're eating? You don't know. Yeah. It's imported, it's oil, but we don't know what quality it is. You know very well, all over the world, people are using pesticides, herbicides, and other things, genetic engineering in foods that may not be suitable for human consumption. We don't know. But the pesticides and herbicides are put in those foods, and we are consuming them. Why do you think we have high incidence of high blood pressure, diabetes, and even now cancer? Why? Because the foods what we're eating is not right. We need to grow what we eat. We need to grow what we eat. Okay? There are other issues. Electricity. Why do we have to have electricity when we have the sun? Why can't we have solar panels? I know recently we saw the president in Guinea for that hydroelectric power, which is a big plus, and we hope that it will work. Yesterday I came back from Farafenni area, all right? If you go to Karanta, Balangar area, I think they're having electricity from Senegal. Gambia is a very small, 2 million people. Why can't we develop it? I tell you why. Nepotism and corruption. Wrong people in the wrong place because they are cousins, our brothers, our uncles, our aunts. And those who are there are going to fill their pockets most of the time.
I was coming to corruption, but let me just revisit the statements that you have made. Do you think you're going to find all that money out there waiting for you to do what you said? Where will the money come from?
The money will come from this country. Is what you prioritize. First of all, if within 3 years we're able to export rice and have massive irrigation scheme going on, all the foreign exchange that we spend, okay, on importing oil, because the Gambian granules could be processed here. We don't have to export it and feed. How many barrels of oil are imported into the Gambia a year? I don't know, but it's huge. It is huge. Barrels of cooking oil, and we don't actually know the quality. If all that foreign aid stays in this country, we can use it for other costs, and I think we can. We have massive amount of foreign donations, grants. It's just mismanagement that has plagued this country and most African countries. And it boils down to one thing: greed. We all want to fill our pockets when there's a project. Instead of making the project work, we think, how can we get something from it?
That brings me now to earlier this year, to be precise, in February, the Corruption Perception Index gave a very grim report of the country's corruption situation.
Yes.
And I remember your predecessor, Dr. Mutu, saying, and I quote, "Corruption has become pandemic in the Gambia, and it's very cancerous. We are very concerned that the Gambia is ranking among the most corrupt nations."
Yes, absolutely. We are actually 30 to 39% in the index. That's serious. That means we are among the most corrupt nations in this world.
Where would you look at and say, that institution is corrupt, that other institution is corrupt, he is corrupt? I mean, this is our country. If we will not tell people where we see the fault, then we will not make any remedy.
Right. The fault is clear. The fault is clear.
Some people are building mansions in the
well, that may be true. But you know what? Recently I talked to a real estate agent. What he told me, he said, "Hey, Jagne, you see all these buildings people are putting in the Comos, they are not Gambians in the diaspora. They are people in the country, in the government." I said, "Really?" He said, "Where do you get the money?" I said, "Well, you know where the money is coming from." But there's worse than that. You remember when Jagne came, they found out in Birkama, Area Council, they found these ghost employees. Recently, education department published a list of people who are supposed to be teaching, and they don't know where they are. So that is rampant. Listen, in Tanzania they had the same issue. What's his name? Mafuji. Yes. He pulled out this stunt. I mean, he took out all those ghost employees, and you know it's very sad. These are ghost employees whose children are alive, whose children or siblings are suffering, but the money doesn't go to them. Someone in the office is signing their vouchers, putting them in their pocket. I can tell that's happening. Not only in the area councils, possibly in all government offices. I mean, if someone resigns today, his name is on that list for another 1 year or maybe longer. Someone is collecting that money. So the example I gave is when Jagne came in and found out the Birkama area council. You know, we all knew that story. So that's part of the area of corruption. We all know. I'm not trying to single out any department, but if government wants to make corruption stop in this country, we have to start from the top. APP government would make sure anyone getting into government, whether minister, even the president, would have to declare their assets, all the way to the most senior government officer or the least senior government officer. Declare the assets, how many houses you have, how many cars you have, how much money you have in your account. We don't want to take your money, you just want to know, so that there's accountability, financial probity, and transparency. So if you, for example, as the president, we know how much you're making, all right? Within 2-3 years, you're building a couple of mansions. Hey, Mr. President, where are you getting all this money? All right, let's look back into your record and see. You're going to find out if someone is bribing you. You're going to find out if some foreign agent is paying you to favoritism. That's corruption. The worst situation, security in this country, I think everyone is concerned. I've talked about it a little. But I know if you go into that, I can wait until you got to that.
Yes, 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 of course. That is among the issues I wanted to say. But then let me bring you to speed on the political situation as of now. The 1997 Constitution, you said, has been changed more than 50 times to suit former President Jagne.
Yes.
And you said we cannot have that. At the same time, you said, and you regretted that $116 million
yes.
was used for the creation of a new constitution, which unfortunately found itself in the dustbin.
Yes.
You said that could have been avoided
Yeah.
if the 1997 constitution was amended. No, isn't that a little bit contradictory?
Well, you could say it's contradictory because of the time frame. We all knew that 1997 constitution, or we all know right now, is not what we need. As I said, actually it's more than 50 times that it was amended to suit a dictatorship. Every Gambian who read that constitution should be concerned of his personal security and safety in this country. And it was a situation that we went through in 2016. We were all pressed for change, and we're looking for change. And that's what we got. We got a change, but sort of what we wanted.
Not what you wanted.
Exactly. But we got the dictator out. At least that was done. So that the constitution, the draft constitution, after spending 116 million, we realized that this could have been avoided. I think Sidia and also Khalifa mentioned this. I'm not in government. I never went to parliament. Yeah. So they mentioned that this could have been avoided, and they did ask the House to think about it, but no one did. You know, so we had to spend this much money. I think that was unfortunate, but it was the only thing that at that time was accepted. So that we, unfortunately, it seems, we are going to another election using the 1997 Constitution. My fear, God help us, whoever comes to be president could be a dictator, just like Jagne, or even worse. Because Jagne has to build it. This man, right from the start, the 1997 Constitution, that has to be changed. It's not what we want in this country. So, it's really tragic. It's a tragic situation.
Let me take you to the Independent Electoral Commission. They fell short of what they targeted in their time frame. By now we would have been done with voter registration long since.
Yes.
But they failed in that. But right now we're going through the voter registration.
Yes.
And attestation is becoming the talk of the time now.
Yes.
All right, especially Banjul and some other areas where people are talking too much about why should a mayor in Banjul do attestations when she herself is a player in the game. I don't know what your take is. I've heard other people giving their take on the issue, but then I want to ask you, what is your take on it? In fact, by the way, the referee is the very referee, the IEC, that gave her the authority to do so.
Well, the same IEC gave the alcalos and the chiefs the authority. You know, Jagne did a second coup d'etat in this country that most Gambians didn't realize. As far as I can remember, chiefs were traditional chiefs from line of inheritance, or they were elected. Alcalis the same thing. Jagne changed that and appointed them. To me, that was a second coup d'etat. When he did that, the chiefs have no power anymore because he could fire them. He could fire them at any time he wanted. So it's the same thing. It's nothing wrong, nothing different from what's happening in Banjul. If the mayor was appointed and was elected, really, and the chiefs were appointed and are still appointed, and they can give attestation. So the IEC should give his final word and put the limits. I really tell the IEC they're responsible if there's any mess in this electoral process, because they are supposed to be independent electoral commission, and they should handle this. I don't think we should leave it to the politicians to handle it. IEC should be responsible, fully responsible.
We have another problem.
Yes.
The diaspora,
Yes.
for me, I believe, come what may,
Yes.
they will be disenfranchised.
It's very sad.
It is.
I think, if I recollect, diaspora last year they put about $28 million into the foreign exchange into this country. Not only that, they are Gambians. They have duty for this country, and they want to be counted as Gambians, and have expressed that many times. We were hoping that the new constitution will allow that. I was in New York when the IC team that came, not the IC, the Constitutional Review Commission came to New York, and believe me, there were more than 100 Gambians in the room, maybe 200 in the room, all diasporans, and all we all wanted was we want to vote, and they submitted papers written what they think the constitution needs to have and must not have. So they are active. They have families here. They come home, and they're going to, most of them want to come home after they've earned some little money to bring home. They want to come home. They should be given the privilege. All countries, Senegal, our neighbor, they make sure their citizens abroad vote if they want to vote. Why can't we do it? This has been talked of. It was one of the things probably that the government sort of addressed right from day one, I think.
Isn't it novel? Isn't it something new?
Of course.
Uncharted territory? And the IC think that it is a mammoth task. It's monumental for them. Because if you say the diaspora, it's not only America.
No.
Europe.
Absolutely.
Even African countries
Absolutely.
are regarded as a diaspora. And maybe they will not have the personnel, the know-how, and all of that will come together and diffuse this goal that they want.
Right.
I'm sure they really want to see the diasporans vote, but they cannot, their hands are tied.
You know, when we had Jagne out, our development partners, very anxious to help us to put this country back. You know what happened. And I'm sure there were funds that could have been used. We are a technological age. All you need is a computer and a trained person, one or two, to come and sit, and they can put it in the embassies, different embassies. I'm not saying we should resort to foreign aid, but we have to do it at that stage because, as you said, it's a novel thing, uncharted territory. But there's no excuse. I don't accept excuses. There's no excuse. We should build a sustained system where after this election, if we can't do it in this election, we make sure that years to come, diasporans will have to vote. But I think they really need to vote this year, which unfortunately doesn't seem to be in place. From my research recently, what I heard is there's no money for it. But this is not an excuse. It was tabled long time ago. So they should have, government could put an emergency funding, and if they want, as we have always done, tell our partners, can you help us? I'm sure they will be, because they want Gambia to be democratic. I'm sure they will help us.
Let us look at the All People's Party and the strategies that they're using. You are what they would say in America, the new kid on the block.
We are the underdog. We are the underdog.
All right, to put it in the Gambian context, yes, the underdogs. You're going to run against the incumbent, who has an advantage because of the incumbency. You're going to run against the United Democratic Party, which is a heavyweight. You will also run against the APRC, which is also another heavyweight.
Yes.
There are parties like the PDOIS,
yes.
irrespective of whatever.
Yes.
The GDC is also there. Now, if I was going to qualify the big ones, these are the parties that I will say you'll be running against.
Yes.
And then, of course, in the globally, there are 18 political parties.
19.
90 political parties.
90, because Isafal has just thrown his hat.
No, it's
well, I saw it somewhere.
Oh, yes, I know that was coming.
I saw it somewhere. Unless it's a fake, but I don't think so.
Congratulations. Well, he hasn't registered yet.
No.
So let's
but
minus him.
yes, okay. Accepted
it.
it.
I will be disappointed.
Yeah, well.
I would be very disappointed if Isafal comes up with a political party.
Yeah.
Or as an independent candidate.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's my own opinion.
Right.
All right, but it's funny, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, let's say 18 political parties, 4 independent candidates.
Right.
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. This is democracy. This is democracy at its best. I think, as a democratic country, every individual who thinks he has an agenda for this country could, if he has the amount of money that Jagne has asked for the opposition to put in, $1 million, and I think that was done to stop us, I mean, the little ones from coming who want to come in. Anyway, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for all Gambians who could afford it and want to. But in the final analysis, we all want thing for the Gambia: progress, peace, and development. There's no doubt. All of us, our agenda may be different, our priorities may be different, but all we want is peace, progress, and prosperity. Look with the PPP, peace, progress, and prosperity, as our motto of our coat of arms says, and that's what it is. But we all have different agenda, right? So I don't see any of them as foe or as enemy. We are actually all in the same football field, playing a friendly game, and see who wins. So as far as we are concerned, there's no animosity. I'll talk to GDP, I'll talk to UDP as friends in partnership for a better Gambia. Right. We as APP, we have no doubt that we are ready to contest the 2021 presidential election. However, if the opposition, majority of the opposition, decide that we need a coalition, just like, absolutely, just like what happened to Jagne in 2016, we'll do it. Because at that time, the focus was, let's get this man, he's not the right person for the country. And I think it's similar. We have similar situation right now.
What makes you say that?
Kuy wax waxet kooku du président waay. If you listen, as I said earlier, a leader, the character of a leader should be unique. Li ñu wax li olof di wax royuwaay, olof njiit royuwaay la. You have to set examples. People are looking at you. You cannot say something today, oh, I'm just politicking. No, that's nonsense. You're politicking, you have to be honest. You have to stop telling lies. You have to stop being a cheat. This is our plague in Africa. The politicians come to lie, to cheat, to go around giving bags of rice, bags of temporal measures to these poor people who would give their votes, and they eat that rice, use that oil for 1 month, and that's it, and they go back to what they were before, poverty. Why? Why are we doing that to our people? Let us tell them the truth. Vote for me. I'm honest. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do for the country, God willing.
Have we reached that stage yet?
Where?
That's Utopia.
Oh.
The situation where everything is right, an educated country.
Yes.
Where people know that it's not about the ashabi you give me.
Exactly.
It's not about the benachin that you cook in the rally.
Exactly.
It's not about the dancing and drumming.
Exactly.
But this is the intellectual Gambian, a well-educated populace who are democratically oriented and know that my vote is for development. We have not reached that. We have not reached there yet.
I thought after Jagne, the Gambians, most Gambians have...
Oh, you'll be surprised.
Well,
you'll be surprised.
Yes.
It will still be the Ashabi drumming and dancing politics.
I agree.
That will win the presidency.
Well,
come the 4th of December.
Okay, that's possible, but I would not cast. I would not cast my vote, as you said. No, I don't think so.
Who forms the majority?
Well, the uneducated.
When you want to win elections in the Gambia, where will your concentration be?
Well, the voting class. I mean, the voting.
Demographically.
Demographically, yes.
Where is the kingmaker?
It's the provinces. We all know.
No.
Well,
no. You haven't done your homework then.
What I mean, the
KM and West Coast.
I agree. I agree. Combo.
Half the amount of the electorate.
I agree.
And will continue to be.
I agree. But
yes,
I agree. But we must not forget people in the provinces. Okay, what we are doing right now.
You are out. Let's say you are out.
Yeah.
When it comes to the best of people registering, will not be more than 200,000 votes.
I agree.
491,000 people make up half the electorate, and they live
in the Combo,
KM and West Coast.
I agree. We know that. Our strategy is we need to educate the mass.
Late?
No, it's not late.
We have 5 months.
Yes, it's never too late. It's never too late. We are doing our part. We're talking what we're going to do. And people will say, oh, everyone has said this. But what I say, if you listen to what we're talking, what we're saying, you definitely know we are a party with a difference.
We don't have much time now. Say what you're saying.
What I'm going to say now is we are a party with a difference. We are technocrats. We are not the typical African or Gambian politicians. We are not here to fill our pockets. We are here to get rid of nepotism, corruption, and make Gambia self-sufficient in food production, and also a vibrant economy, and also a new Gambia, technological Gambia, with everyone having a job, everyone having a skill, all the youths having a skill and having their own business, so that they don't think of leaving this country anymore, right? And we are very much concerned about security in this country, very much inquiring about security. I'm talking about internal security, your security, my security, and our border security, and also, of course, food security, right? So that, you see, something happened terribly during Jagne's time. The Green Boys, what we are there for? What were the Green Boys for? Jagne had a tremendous opportunity. He blew it. He had the Green Boys, just like Barrow has now the Barrow Youth. What age? Singing and clapping. When he left, where are they? They disappeared. They are unskilled. All the money they were being given is gone. So they're now doing what? Maybe they are the ones sitting around drinking atay, I don't know. But they are idling. And maybe they are the ones who live in I don't know. It's tragic. And it's now repeated. It's a repetition of what has happened. Barrow's doing the same thing. Barrow's Youth. I know there is a National Health Service scheme, but just about a couple of weeks ago I saw their graduation. I mean, 100, 200 Gambians. And only probably one institution. Each region will have 2 or 3 institutions, as I said earlier, where they are going to teach skills to Gambians who have left school, be it madrasa, be it primary, high school, doesn't matter. Do you want to have a skill? You put you there, we'll give you a stipend, so make sure you stay there, so your parents will need some money, you might be helping you help yourself. And when you finish with your training, we're going to make sure that you know what business is and how to run business. Okay? And then we give you a loan to invest in what you want to do. That's what we're going to do.
If I was going to present you with a crystal ball now, and ask you to look at it and tell me what do you see on the 4th of December?
That's a very difficult question. I can see APP winning the elections, but I can also see a coalition winning the elections. Those are the only 2 alternatives. I cannot see the government winning the elections. I cannot see it. It could happen, only God knows. But we hope that APP would win the elections, or a coalition of opposition parties would win the elections. The question is, if we have a coalition, what is the criteria for the new person going to lead that coalition? That's important, because we already saw an example. That, to me, is a headache. We have to develop what's the quality of the person? Who is that person? And I think it's going to be a coalition, to be honest.
And finally, what is your message to the entire citizenry as you vie for the road to State House?
I tell the Gambians, this is a new dawn in Gambia. A new party has been formed called the All People's Party. A party with a difference, a party of technocrats, a party of people who are concerned about corruption, nepotism, and underdevelopment that's continue to plague this country. 56 years after independence, the Gambia should have been like Singapore. We have 2 million people, a small country. We can't even feed ourselves. This is disaster. Vote for APP, All People's Party, for progress, peace, and prosperity in this nation of ours. God bless all Gambians.
Dr. Ibrahim Jagne, thank you very much for being my guest on the program.
Can I just add one more thing?
Please go ahead.
Yes. He introduced me as Ibrahim Jagne. That's true. My other name is Baibiran Jagne. And if you look at our flyers and newspapers, you're going to see Baibiran Jagne. Don't confuse them.
Right.
It's the same person. Baibiran Jagne is Ibrahim Jagne. So I want the electorate to know that.
Thank you very much. Well, that's it. Dr. Baibiran Jagne, Party Secretary General and flag bearer of the All People's Party, has been my guest on Road to State House. I am Malik Jones. You have a good evening and enjoy the rest of our programs, and bye-bye.